We welcome you back in here to Paul McGinley Field for the debut in 2022 for this year's edition of the Trinity Tigers. Ryan Figured here, joined for the first time somehow by Callum Squires, a familiar voice to some longtime viewers of the Tigers. Callum, how's it going?
Ryan, great to be here, man. A pleasure. Finally, I've been 4 years since I was able to sit here and watch a Trinity game, and it's as exciting as ever under the lights, Saturday night lights, as we like to say. And so, yeah, just buzzing to see the boys. And, you know, it's a stern test that Claremont will pose, so should be a really good game here. Should be something to look forward to.
As you mentioned, a marquee matchup in the West. Claremont, probably the last team out of the conference or of the national tournament last year. Probably number 65. They would have thought they should have been in that 64 for sure. And their resume lived up to many teams that did make the tournament. Both of these teams undefeated in regular season play last year. They put that record on the line here under the lights in San Antonio. Claremont with a draw to open their season on Thursday against Santa Cruz. And Trinity making their season debut today. It's the main man from last season, Michael Meese, to get us underway. Dropping it back to the only new face in the Trinity 11 today, Louis Instrull. A English center midfielder hailing from London, England. Callum, as a player coming into a team that's so settled like this Trinity team, so many returners, what do you think Louis, what's going through his mind right now?
He's just trying to get his first touch on the ball and get settled, which he immediately plays a fantastic pass out towards Chen Aji there.
From first-year head coach Trevor Swartz, former standout at Indiana, helped his team to 2 college cups at the D1 level. Some professional experience as well, but it's 3 head coaches in 3 years for Claremont, and that kind of turnover definitely make things difficult, especially amongst the turmoil of COVID and not playing in 2020. And I would ask you, Callum, what it's like when a new coach comes in, but you never had that experience. Of course, Coach McGinley, 30-plus seasons in the job now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think we had a little bit of turnover in terms of, you know, assistant coaches and so on, but, you know, the consistency of having the same man at the helm is definitely helpful. But that said, you know, with the pedigree that Swartz has here, you know, you have to feel good if you're Claremont about the exciting new coach you've got coming into your program.
Corner sent towards the top of the box by O'Reilly, tracked down on the far side. Drop of the shoulder and going to ground, Peter Blanc. And good tracking back from Kyle Davis. He runs into one of the Stags players, and the student section starting to get behind Kyle Davis there.
Yeah, Davis and Blanc, they're fantastic defending on that right-hand side. I mean, again, there's a question there about whether or not there could have been a yellow card for the shirt pull, but again, I don't mind the referee letting things go, but there is going to come a point where you have to cut it off and start showing the cards. But it was really nicely defended there from Davis and trying to get Trinity on the counter-attack.
Rule will lift this one in behind for Kane. Allman caught facing his own goal, and excellent play that time from Allman. Under pressure from Kane. Here's Rule putting the pressure on Blockman. Challenging for the second ball as well. Eubank fires it into the chest of Michael Meese. Weir sticks his head into the danger zone. Meese raising a foot. To say, since the opening minutes, you think the Stags have been the better of the two sides. They've certainly settled in, looked like the team that's maybe played that extra game and got that consistency going.
Yeah, it's been fairly even, but when they've had the ball, I think they've marginally done a little bit more than Trinity have with it. And they've been confident in possession. You know, this midfield of Claremont has started really well. They're popping the ball about nicely. You know, Tommy Brown's had a few nice touches there in the middle, but here comes Fraser Burns the other way, and that's got to be a foul.
Referee plays advantage here as it finds the feet of Michael Meese. Meese past one defender, but again, Allman's been a standout defensively for the Stags, and he gets this one clear. First header won by Blockman, and Blanc to Eubank, and the North Carolina native clears the lines for Trinity. And a moment to rest here in what has been a frenetic start to the 2022 season for Coach McGinley's Trinity Tigers. Simon nearly tripped up that time by Watkins. And the Tigers get it back to Willman, who's been called into action. Terrific early save. You almost forget about that. It came so early in the match. Could have been a disastrous start for the home side. As this diagonal's looking for Kane. He's putting pressure on Allman. This one watched back to Kevin Bucks. Claremont trailing for a large majority of their season opener at University of California, Santa Cruz, and they got the late equalizer, 87th minute. Blockman with the right-footed curler, able to salvage the draw, and of course no overtime this year in 2022. So as the final whistle went at 90, the two teams shared the spoils. This one looking for Meese. Kane will put Allman under pressure. This one flicks off the head of Otero. Pressure on the ball from Blockman, and Rule chased all the way back to his goalkeeper. But a result that Claremont wouldn't have been best pleased with, that draw. But the way that it came, you have to think they take some momentum from the late equalizer, Callum.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If you can get a late goal like that, those Blockman's there trying to get in. JC Rule does really well. Getting a late equalizer like that does just give the team a lift. I mean, you know, obviously Claremont would have been wanting to start the season with a win, but in situations like that, as we all know from watching the game and, and even in the professional level, sometimes conceding a late equalizer feels like a defeat, and getting the late equalizer really feels like a win. So you can tell that Claremont are confident here. You know, they've started well. They're confident in what they're doing. They're playing well. Yeah, like you mentioned Allman, who's been impressive so far for sure. But, Trinity just need to kind of keep the ball a little bit better, and they're starting to pop it around there as Enstrel has another really nice touch and a nice idea trying to find Adji in behind, but just overcooked the pass there a little bit.
Good combination there between Meese and Enstrel. Michael Meese wearing the number 48 shirt this year. I haven't got a chance to talk to him about why exactly he switched from already not so glamorous number 31 last year. 31 treated them pretty well, I have to say. 15 games, 16 goals, and 4 assists.
I believe he wore 48 in high school, but I don't know the significance of it, I'll tell you that.
We'll find out by tomorrow's game for sure. Kane tangling with Allman, lifts it ahead, and that's Allman who comes away from the duel. Ball in behind now for Blockman, cut back towards the edge of the area. Good idea that time for the number 11. Couldn't quite make it work for the Stags, and Simon this time drawing the foul, able to relieve pressure for Trinity.
Yeah, that was nice from Blackman. He's done well there. I mean, he's being a threat, and he's keeping Blank and JC Rule honest. The last thing you want to do against Trinity is let the centre-backs settle in and get a passing game going. Find Jake Simon, find Louis Enstrel. So if you're able to put these centre-backs under pressure, that will give, Claremont a chance to control the game. But that's nice again from Louis Enstrel in the middle.
He's deceptively quick, isn't he? Over 5 yards. This one in behind now for Meese, who we know is quick, and he's going to get to the ball first. Big save from Box. Kane on the follow-up, won't get there.
Meese has done well there. I mean, at the time of contact with the ball, the keeper's right on top of him, so he didn't really have much choice apart from to try and lift it. And Box has done well to be off his line so quickly, because with someone like Meese's pace, that is always an outball for Trinity. So the keeper has to almost be in that sweeper keeper role, even if he doesn't traditionally do it.
Grant Donaldson fires this one out wide. Donaldson making his 50th career appearance for the Stags. Experienced center back for his 5th year. Well, technically, eligibility rules are all messy right now with COVID and potential injury, red shirts like we see with Ethan Ting on the Claremont side. Blockman receiving that one under pressure from Blanc, who got a foot on the ball. Now back for the Claremont number 11. And Davis gambling there not to chase back, and it was a close call, wasn't it?
Rafael Otero was very nearly in there. I mean, we're not at a great time to see, we're not a great line to see the angle on that. So I'm not going to be able to tell you whether I thought it was on or offside at all, but it was tight nonetheless. Though what I will say is the linesman was immediately decisive with his flag, and it's usually when there's a little bit of hesitation from the linesman that you think there's some doubt. So the fact that he was, decisive about it suggests that he was pretty confident that was offside.
Burns looking to get this one in behind for Michael Meese. But a bump after the play from the Trinity striker. He's probably frustrated not to have scored already, the way that he's put the ball in the back of the net for the maroon and white. Looks like we've got potentially a first change coming for the Stags here in just a moment. Quarter of the way into this game. And it's O'Reilly down the wing. Last touch off Eubank. Out for a Stags throw. It'll be Eric Sanchez from San Juan Capistrano, California. Number 17, set to check in.
He's going to replace Justin Blackman. up front. So that looks like a like-for-like change about halfway through the first half. Not a surprise to see that kind of change. It's fairly common. You know, it is hot and humid here with the rain we've had today. You know, all those attacking players are going to need to be rotated as quickly as possible to stay fresh.
This one's sent in from the long throw. Blanc gets ahead to it, and he's going to have to put another head on the ball, and he does. Trying to be a bit fortunate to come away with a goal kick.
Yeah,
one criticism that you can weigh against the Trinity team, not the tallest team, and against the team like we saw at Southwestern earlier today or even Claremont, they're going to struggle at times from these set-piece opportunities.
Yeah, and I think Jake Simon's probably clearly the tallest player on the pitch at the minute. And, you know, he is around 6 foot, so you know there isn't a whole lot of height, but you know you don't win games with height necessarily. As Hunter Kane makes somewhat of a flying tackle, but there was no contact on the player, so I'm not really sure why there were appeals from Claremont there. But you know, you call for everything, don't you?
Here comes the sub now. Sanchez in. Good shift up front from Blockman, created that one opportunity on the cutback. So he'll head to the bench as we approach the 20-minute mark to go in this first half. Eubank with a good intervention there, gets it to Enstrel, back to Austin Willman. Those are the two Englishmen in the starting 11 today. 2, kind of a low number for Trinity. Usually you see 3 or 4, and of course many options on the bench coming from across the pond as Claremont make their way forward now into the penalty area. And Willman clearing out his own man, but comes up with the ball.
Yeah, JC Rule
slow to his feet.
Yeah, Rule took a bit of hit there. You know, Willman, good to see him quick off his line. I mean, that's something that you want from your keeper, like we just said about Box at the other end. You know, Willman needs to be active and involved in the game and not over-involved, but making sure he's ready to go when needed. As a long ball in behind from Jake Simon looking for Hunter Kane is just watched out of bounds by Allman.
And with the Thursday-Saturday schedule for Claremont, do you expect that to be heavy legs, or do you expect them to be fully recovered this early in the season?
I don't know that you could be fully recovered, especially having traveled, you know, as far as they have. But yeah, you're not going to feel it anywhere near as much as you would do in the, you know, later stages of October, when everyone is, you know, carrying a niggle at that point. Whereas still at this point, you're pretty, you know, for the most part, you're pretty healthy just getting started. But it's definitely an interesting, you know, transition for Claremont to come all this way. And, you know, it's a late kickoff for Trinity, but as Coach McGinley pointed out to me pre-game, it's only 8 p.m. California time for Claremont. So maybe a slight advantage that they're slightly more adjusted in their body clocks to this situation.
We welcome all our West Coast viewers tuning in. Very convenient time for you as we're headed late into the night with this one. Trinity Soccer After Dark. 2-hour or so lightning delay, pushing back our 2 games as we open 2022 here at Paul McGinley Field. This one all the way through to Peter Blanc, wearing the captain's armband this year, I believe for the first time. Experienced Dutch center back. Made his debut back in 2017-2018, and that's actually the year he's played the most games across his career. Took a year off and returned from the Netherlands, made himself a mainstay in the team. And now he's got the armband. No surprise there, Callum.
No, Peter's always had talent. I mean, so I was assistant coaching Peter's freshman year when he kind of first came over here, and you know, his family's a big part of his life, so it wasn't a surprise to see him go back to the Netherlands for a while. But he absolutely, there's no doubt whatsoever about the talent that Peter has, and you know, he's a great leader. He's passionate. He leads by example, and he's someone that, you know, Coach McGinley and Coach Carty will really be relying on this year for serious minutes from centre back, and in general as a big part of this team.
Good work from JC Rule, nearly created an opportunity for Kane. It's back with the Stags now, under the chest of Jake Simon, settles it, drops it off for Enstrel. Quickly shifts his hips, drops it back to Blanc, and wide for Davis. Davis allowed to make his way up the right flank, and Davis now with a chance to get the low cross in, defended at the near post. Good work that time, I think, from Watkins. Watkins, an experienced player, but a new face in the Claremont team. Graduate transfer from DePaul. 49 Division I appearances. I mean, we've already seen him pretty active in the midfield. It comes with real pedigree as Eubank swings this one in, looking for Meese. And it's dealt with just about by Weir, though not cleared. And here's Burns on the pivot, fires towards the near post. And Box covers it up.
And that's a much better effort from Burns, and that's why I say I don't mind the earlier effort, because he's kind of got his eye in now. That one's headed right to the bottom corner. Box does well to get down again. You know, it skids a little bit off the surface. I think Fraser would probably have wanted to still catch that a little bit sweeter, but, you know, under the pressure he's under, that's not a bad effort. That's testing the keeper. It's on target, which are all kind of the key elements of trying to score a goal here. And so as Trinity nick it in the midfield.
And here's Instrull. Plenty of maroon jerseys for support. It's ahead for Michael Meese, and behind now for Kane. Fires it across on the left foot, and Weir was there in a very precarious position. Managed not to turn it into his own net, and instead smuggle it down the field, where the Stags now have a free kick.
Yeah, and that's a pretty soft foul there given against Jack Eubank, if we're completely honest. I'm not exactly sure why Liam O'Reilly jumped to the floor there, but there was an earlier foul, which is, I think, what the referee gave it for, so I think we're all good there. But yeah, again, Hunter Kane and Michael Meese combining well. You know, the two of them, two young players in this team who really have a good repertoire together, and that is really Trinity's greatest area of success so far. As they started trying to go down the right with Adji, didn't really find a whole lot of success, and now, you know, Kane and Meese combining down this left-hand side against Ullman and against Donaldson. Looks like where Trinity are going to get a chance from.
You surprised to see Coach McGinley not turning to the bench just yet, even in the attacking areas, as we're 30 minutes in?
A little bit. I think usually you'd expect to see, you know, maybe one or two, but I think in the next 5 minutes or so you will see some reinforcements as Kyle Davis goes on an incredible run here.
Blowing past two defenders, now he brings it into the penalty area, and the ball bouncing around, appeals for a handball. Meese can't believe that the referee waves it away.
I think the claim there, I think the reason why was that the player was on the floor and didn't really know where the ball was.
Here's Adji, again, able to get wrong side, fires in the low cross, and deflection off of a Stags player nearly for an own goal, but Box was there to cover for his teammate.
And that's good goalkeeping from Box, because that could very easily wriggle free, squirt free, and Meese is not going to miss from 5 yards out if you give him an open goal. So credit to Box there for being able to hang on and keep the scores level here.
Yeah, 4 early saves, 30 minutes into this game for Kevin Box. Nothing too spectacular. You'd say Willman's one save, probably the pick of the bunch.
Definitely.
This one helped wide now. Time on the ball. And a good combination. Blanc in the way. Sanchez, the substitute, trying to combine. And it's J.C. Rule who gets it clear. Coming across from left center back into that near the right touchline. Covering for his teammate as Simon hoists this one forward. Adji won't give up on it. Neither will Kane as it's back towards Box. Difficult to deal with for the goalkeeper here. Composed play from Box, who's been a real standout early on for Claremont-Mudd-Scripps.
Game's sort of settled down a little bit now. Like we said, it was a little bit erratic earlier. It's kind of settled into, you know, you have a turn, we have a turn with the ball. But Trinity have been the better team over the last 5 or 10 minutes or so, which might again explain why Coach McGinley hasn't gone to the bench yet, as Trinity have started to find a little bit more rhythm in possession. And it's all kind of centered around Louis Enstrel here.
Enstrel able to pivot and find Simon with some rare time in the midfield. Talking about Kevin Box a little bit. Just 3 games played last year, under 200 minutes, only conceded once. But he's the number 1 this year, both on the roster and in principle, starting the season in goal now for 2 straight games. And we've seen why, as Enstrel shows his pedigree with the beautiful diagonal out wide for Shin Adji. Kane comes short, combines now with Davis. Trinity finally able to pin the Stags back into their own defensive third, but just as you say that, Simon gives it away. Kane quickly back on it, and here's Burns. Defense stands off him as Burns gets it wide for Adji. Plenty of runners to aim at, including Michael Meese. As Adji onto his favored right foot, the shot blocked and cleared away by Watkins.
That's nice positive play from Adji. You want to commit defenders in the box and try and put them on their back foot. I like the fact that he's driven in there, and not the cleanest strike in the end, but he's getting into the right areas from the right wing.
Here's Davis in midfield, coming inside from the right back position, where we mentioned he's played plenty of minutes for the Tigers. And here's the ball in behind. Good weight on it, looking for O'Reilly. Eubank takes up a defensive position as this one's flashed across. And Willman not worried. It's good service, just not enough white jerseys up in the attack to make anything of it.
Yeah, Luke O'Reilly was a little bit on an island there once he got played in. He didn't really have much support in the middle. It was a nice piece of play from Claremont again, and that shows you the threat that they have, whether it's when they're in possession or whether it's a little bit of a counter-attack like that. They've got pace out wide, they've got skillful players who can get in behind and cause Trinity problems, as it now looks like we are getting a couple of reinforcements here with Philip Dueñez and Connor Jones both set to check in for the Tigers, and potentially one more as well.
No surprise there, as we've got 12 minutes to go in the half. Wanted to keep the levels high on the pitch. One sub as well for Claremont-Mudd-Scripps. Lucas Huntington, last year he was the team leader with 7 assists. Off the bench now in the first 2 games in 2022. Time on the ball for Donaldson. Across for Weir. Great ball in behind, and Aggie's forced to chase. Good work back defensively. You think Aggie's probably going to be replaced by Jones momentarily, putting in the hard yards before he gets his break. Here's Watkins. Allman driving inside. Rule the clearance coming right for us. Well deflected by the ball boy, and the subs now come in. So it's the captain, Landbauer, to the bench for Claremont. And we've got another Trinity debut going into the midfield. Adam Knutson is going to play alongside Enstrel and Simon. Burns, Aggie, and Meese to the bench as Dueñez takes up the number 9 position.
Yeah,
and
great.
Jones goes on to the right.
Sorry, Ryan. Yeah, great moment for Knutson, getting a debut here in game 1 of his career. Excited to see what he can bring to the pitch as Dueñez, who we know can be a lethal finisher in front of goal, takes over from Meese up front, and Jones, who we know has a lot of pace and a lot of energy out wide on the right. So, they all changes that make sense. Keep it fresh up front and see if Trinity can find a way to get a goal here in the last 10 minutes of the first half.
Looks like the Stags will respond with a change of their own in just a moment. Here's Enstrel, drops it off for Simon. Looks like those two have struck up a good understanding in the middle of the park. Another diagonal from Simon, just an inch or two off from getting Eubank in behind the back line. So we're now into single digits remaining in the first half, and Eubank readies the throw.
It looks like Sean Malik is going to come on here for just the last 9 minutes or so for Claremont, as Eubank gets set to throw this one in. Dueñez trying to pin Watkins. Instead it goes towards Knutson.
Knutson challenging for it. Easy to pick out, wearing the number 41. You don't get your pick of the bunch, do you, coming in as a first year, especially with a roster so deep and so experienced?
No, I'm surprised the numbers even go up that high, if I'm completely honest.
Knutson asking for the ball. Rule back to Peter Blanc. Adam Knutson was a standout at Dripping Springs High School. 81 career goals, the program record, and 2-time selection as a high school All-American. So certainly some pedigree coming in, even as a first year. We'll see how he adjusts to the collegiate level. But that's some good reading if you're a Trinity fan.
100%, 81 goals is ridiculous. But let's not forget about what Carl Davis just did down there on the right-hand side as well. I mean, he's been full of energy and full of running, as he always is in the first half. And as Knutson now gets on the ball, those two could be dangerous out there together.
And Knutson looking to win a corner. Have to settle for conceding the goal kick, as the Stags will make that change. And as you mentioned, Malik in for the first time, the first year from New York, in to replace O'Reilly. Chance or two on the break for O'Reilly, nothing really to shout home about.
No, but I mean, I think if you're Claremont at this stage, you've got to be pretty happy with where you are. You've had a couple of chances, you've threatened Willman, and whenever Box has been called upon, he's delivered for you at the back. So, this is a fairly evenly balanced game right now.
Dueñez is going to be offside here, so he'll allow Donaldson to bring it down, and Donaldson forced into an error. Kane not whistled for a handball, which I think the referee wasn't well positioned to spot. We certainly were, as he helped that one on in his path. I don't think it was anything intentional, however. Would have helped him out. In any case, no harm, no foul. It's a CMS throw. Malik can't turn past Eubank. Eubank wanted the throw, but it stays with the Stags. Allman's throw repelled by the maroon jerseys all the way back to Box. Trinity with 5 shots on goal to just 1 for the Stags so far. Rule with a perfectly placed header onto the foot of Kane. Got 2 defenders on his back. And he's able to win the throw. Tries to get it in behind for Knutson, but a lot of experience with Watkins that Knutson doesn't quite possess just yet. That's a tough matchup for him coming into this game against a 4-year Division I player. Blanc runs into trouble in the center circle. It'll be cleaned up by Rule. Rule on a trademark dart forward, finds Instrull. Checks back, just has that release valve, release the pressure. The runs to get to their destination. As Instrull, with the right-footed diagonal. Across to Kane, drop of the shoulder, and he swings it in on the left foot. Defended at the near post and stabbed again towards goal. But the offering off the weaker right foot of Jack Eubank claimed by the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Eubank just trying to keep it alive there. I mean, really good again from Hunter Kane to get down the left and get that cross in. Dueñas was kind of lurking in there, trying to put some pressure on Box. But again, it's been good from Box so far, and Claremont have held firm at the back when Trinity have threatened. And it looks like we're going to have another change here as Jack Downs ready to check in.
Be interesting to see where he comes in. We already had 2 changes in the midfield. Could be for Instrull, perhaps. Oh. Maybe we'll see Downs onto the wing. We've seen him operate from wide areas in the past. Dueñas flicks it forward for Kane. And a familiar foe checks into the game on the Claremont side. Ethan Ting, 3 goals against Trinity in 2 games, including an all-important one in the NCAA tournament back in 2019 here at Paul McGinley Field. We know it's been a long road back for him from injury, but I think he might fancy another goal against the Tigers today. Eubank calling for it on the near side. If Trinity can pick up their head and look for a switch, Davis does just that, but it's under hit. And now he's involved with the battle on the halfway line. Good ball lifted in behind by Huntington. Here's Malik, wrong side of Eubank. Eubank gets a foot on the ball, and he's able to disrupt Malik and come away with it. Great defending there from the Trinity left back.
Superb from Jack Eubank, and then even then to find the ball forward to Philip Dueñas that gets the Tigers a free kick up on the halfway line. That's superb from Jack Eubank, absolutely superb. Playing every little bit of the quality the junior he is.
He's one of quite a few of the Trinity players who stayed playing over the offseason. You see players at the USL 2 level all across the country staying sharp and continuing to develop their game. You know, Hunter Kane, Jack Downs involved with the team down in Houston as well. Here's Jones, first chance really to get on the ball. Sliding tackle from Watkins. This possesses Jones, but now it's back with them. Here's the low cross in, and the deflection takes it out of the path of Dueñas. Looks like that was going to be a tap-in for the senior striker. Emergency defending from the Stags.
Yeah, that's a real chance. It's really unlucky that it didn't fall to Dueñas, but Trinity trying to keep the pressure on here. Ticking inside 4 minutes to go in the first half.
Rule with a nice cushion header down for Instrull. Ahead for Dueñas. Here's Louis Instrull. Jones calling forward on the right wing. Able to receive under pressure. Couldn't make anything of it that time as Davis was threatening to go once again on the overlap. 3.5 minutes and counting down for these potential substitutes to make an impact.
You're wondering if Downs or Ting are even going to get in at this point. Maybe they'll just start the second half instead, as both these teams kind of still feeling each other out. You know, there hasn't really been I think Trinity have been on top the last 10, 15 minutes or so, but there hasn't really been a period of concerted pressure from either team.
You know, really only a 1 minute or so spell comes to mind when Trinity were really able to pin the Stags in. Besides that, it's been all action in the midfield areas. As I think foul going against the Stags. Or throw it instead on the far side, and that'll allow the subs to come in if the referee realizes they need to.
I think it was basically that the Claremont player ended up like quite near the wall, and obviously that's a hard concrete wall on the far side of the pitch. I think the ref just wanted to make sure that he was okay without any sort of issues there.
This is an interesting change. This is an attacking change in midfield. Coach McGinley, Coach Carty going forward here with 2.5 to go. Instrull's going to shift to the deepest lying position, and looks like Knutson will play the 8. Downs in to play the 10. Tough position to come into with just 2 minutes to go, though. Playing the 10, really getting the feel for the game that you need to create from those areas, although we know Jack Downs is used to coming off the bench and making an impact.
Yeah, I think you're just hoping for kind of one half chance, and Jack has the quality that he can, create something or get a shot away and get something on target here. As if you could find a way to take a lead here in the very latter stages of the first half, that makes your halftime team talk all the much more easier.
Foul that time going against Downs, I think, just on the pitch. So Ethan Ting is going to play just beneath the striker. It looks like he's gone up front, and he's shifted Huntington down into the attacking midfield area. And Ting calling for it here. He's measuring his run in behind. Ball intended for the right wing and lifted now by Watkins towards Malik. Allman pivots away from two Trinity defenders. Watkins now back for Weir. Nobody with much time on the ball in a Claremont jersey as the Trinity substitutes swarm to put the pressure on. Just about a minute to go here in the opening half of 2022. Callum, what are you saying, first of all, if you're Coach McGinley?
I think you say that we've been good in patches, as Philip Duenas surely gets a foul there, referee. I think you say we've been good in patches, but haven't used the opportunities that we've had well enough. When we've had chances to get shots on target, we have tested Box to an extent, but we haven't really seen Box at full extension. He hasn't really had to fly across his goal to save anything. So maybe just a little bit more, poise in those moments. But certainly, concentration at the back is paramount as JC Rule put under a bit of pressure here in the last 30 seconds.
And Instrull with a foot to clear, and ends up being a perfect ball for Duenas, and that's by design. Here's Jones. Sent sprawling by Watkins. He's quickly back up to his feet. And as these final moments don't go quietly, Callum, your final thoughts if you're Coach Swartz on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, it's super intense, and I think if you're Claremont, you've got to be happy with where you are. You had the early chance, could have nicked a lead, but in general, you're very much in the game and, now kicking towards your own bench in the second half, as both teams will be. I think both teams will fancy they can go on and win this. Final
totals from the first half. Trinity 6 shots, 3 on target. And just the one save for Austin Willman that came on the one shot, 1 on target for Claremont-Mudd-Scripps. 5 fouls for Trinity, 4 on the Stags. Corner apiece. It's been a hotly contested game, as we expected here in the humid air of San Antonio. Ryan Figert, joined by Callum Squires. We'll be back in just about 15 minutes for the second half of action as we look for a winner. Two teams retake the field here late into the night, past 11 o'clock local time. Still tied up, no goals either way between Trinity and Claremont-Mudd-Scripps. Ryan Figert once again joined by Callum Squires. And Callum, I know I saw you down with the Trinity bench. What's the mood with the Tigers? What do you expect coming out for the second half?
Positive. I mean, I think, we said it was a good first half. I think overwhelmingly the spirit of the bench is a positive one. I think Trinity shaded the half and had the majority of the possession. Coach McGinley likes his analogies, and in a boxing match, I think it's a 10-9 round for Trinity, but you need a goal on the scoreboard in order to win the game. So I think in terms of the attacking third, when we have got in, I think it's all about taking that extra touch, getting your head up, and Kevin Box has done well in goal for Claremont, but he hasn't really been tested. The Fraser Burns had a couple of good shots down low away from him, but not really as far away from him as you'd like to kind of put him at full stretch. So there's got to be a little bit more poise and precision in the attacking third, and then equally the concentration at the back from the two centre-backs, Blank and Rule, and Austin Willman, who made that one fantastic save earlier on. I think that's really important for Trinity, because when you have all the possession, there is a tendency to switch off at the back, and you can't afford that against a team as talented as Claremont.
Trinity with an unchanged 11 that started the game. Here's Michael Meese. Didn't get on the score sheet just yet. He's looking to set that straight already as he drives towards goal, fires it ahead towards Burns. Not on the same wavelength as the Scotsman that time, but he's able to win it back. Good energy from Meese to start the half as Adji has a drive on the left foot from distance. And again, ricochets back to the Tigers. Looks like a very similar 11 for the Stags as well. Although you do see Huntington starting the second half. Came on as a sub in the first 45.
I think you'll see subs more frequently and a lot earlier in this half as Jack Eubank gets down the left-hand side.
This one fired in towards Burns, and it breaks at the edge of the area for Jake Simon to fire it into the back of the net. Less than a minute gone here in the second half, and Simon strikes against the Stags.
What a finish, Jake Simon. Absolutely fantastic. Dead straight, arrowing all along the floor into the bottom corner of Box's goal. We've been asking for the Tigers to threaten Box and give him something to do, and Jake Simon has absolutely delivered with a fantastic drive into the bottom corner for Trinity. And you have to say they've been the better team, and they do deserve it, but what a moment for Jake Simon.
First career goal for Trinity. Back for his 5th year, and back with a bang as the Tigers start this half on top, and they get the goal to go with it.
It's a dream start to the second half. I mean, that changes everything less than a minute into the second half. The game plan for Claremont has to adapt. Trinity now know they have something to hold on to, though, of course, they will still be pressing forward, trying to get the second, but it's a great strike from Jake Simon. You've got to be elated for him to get his first college goal. His parents in town visiting from California, and you just have to be so happy for Jake. He's, a real heart and soul of this team, and credit to him for a fantastic goal.
And again, Trinity putting pressure on high up the field. A moment to mention Jack Eubank, who picks up his 10th career assist on the goal, as Huntington helps this one on. Davis in pursuit, gets there first and makes sure it never reaches Ben Pels, senior captain from Deerfield, Illinois. Couldn't have asked for a better start from a Trinity perspective as Simon goes sliding in, as does Ortero. Simon staying down. And the referee will blow the whistle here, bring the play to a halt, and the clock to a stop.
And the last thing you want if you're Trinity is someone like Jake Simon down on the ground with an injury. The referee saying he didn't see a foul there. I do think both players were going for the ball, but I don't know that it was contact on the ball from both sides.
Good to see him back up on his feet, and a second assist now credited to Fraser Burns as well. He was the team leader last year. No surprise to see he's got the helper on this year's opening goal. '21st career assist. For Fraser Burns, 10 last season. I mentioned lead the team. Eubank and Burns, those were the two. And they're both off the mark with an assist on Jake Simon's emphatic goal to start 2022 in style. Blanc sends it clear from Meese to chase into the channel. Meese wrong side of the Stags back line. Chops onto his left foot. The two center backs come away with the ball. The help coming from Donaldson just in time.
Trinity buoyed by that goal as well. As you would expect when you get that lead early in the second half, everyone's just looking a little bit sharper, half a yard quicker, and that bodes well for the Tigers here.
And for the second straight game, the Stags trail.
But yeah, as you point out there, Ryan, they were behind in their first game, and that, they've showed the resolve to come back before. So you can't ease off if you're Trinity. This is not a game where 1-0 means it's done. You may win by that scoreline, but this is not going to, Claremont are not going to go down without a fight here, and they're certainly going to be able to, push on. You'd expect to see Ethan Ting back on if they still need a goal, and Trinity are going to have to be alert at the back, but obviously you would feel now if you're Trinity that a second goal here would be hugely impactful for the outcome of this game.
Yeah, to that point, 21-game unbeaten streak in the regular season against D3 opponents for the Stags. That's spanning 3 different coaches. I mean, these set the players have, they've adapted to different situations, and they've still been able to come out on top without taking a loss in 21 games across 3 seasons.
And that's impressive. I mean, there's been some impressive Trinity records of unbeaten periods of time, and, that's 21 games is not to be sniffed at in any way. You have to be a quality team, and you have to show resolve, in order to be able to do that. And, Claremont, clearly, we've seen in the first half when they've got the ball down and when they've had the ball, they're able to play some really nice stuff, and they've got dangerous players. I mean, that Austin Willman save at 0-0 inside the first 2 minutes, all of a sudden, looks massive when you think about how the second half has started as well.
Ball off the foot of Rule, and Meese showing his strength to keep the ball ahead to Kane. Flag stays down. Kane making his way up the left side. Drops it off to Jack Eubank, the magic left foot out of North Carolina. Now up to double-digit assists in his Trinity career.
And he's been fantastic tonight. Jack Eubank has deserved an assist, and here he goes again.
This one sent in towards Michael Meese, and it ended up just behind the striker.
You can't believe he's not made contact there.
Have to see the replay to see whether it was as good of a chance as it looked on first viewing. But Adji battling here, able to maintain possession, keeping it away from Otero. Another great ball in from Eubank, though.
He's causing all the problems down the left-hand side as they try and find him in again here, and he's managed to get there. Eubank swings it in, burns at the back post, waits for it to come down, tries to find Instraw on the edge, but Kyle Davis instead picks it up.
And another chance on the ball for Instraw, able to turn. Here's Simon. Might think about another shot. This one, though, lifted in, finds the feet of Meese. Meese on the turn. Flicked it up for his own volleyed attempt. And I think a deflection took it wide at goal. Kevin Box comfortable that time.
Yeah, but that, again, is positive play from Meese. I mean, to bounce back from what, by his standards, is a fairly egregious miss. I don't think it was necessarily entirely his fault. I'm pretty sure there was a little touch from the centre-back. I think that, from Villa, right before it came to Meese, that basically nutmegged him, with no real intention. And that's the only reason why Michael Meese didn't tuck that away for 2-0. But credit to him for immediately kind of getting back on the horse and finding a way to create an opportunity. Obviously, it's blocked and it's an easy collect for Box, but Meese is, he's being threatening as you want your number 9 to be.
Yeah, certainly looks more active than in the first half. Can drift to and from in a game at times, but of course, we know what he was able to do last season, as does everyone in the country, first-team All-American. Substitution coming in. Tommy Brown, the starter, will replace Lucas Huntington, who started the game on the bench and gave the Stags 7 minutes. Same number as is on his shirt. This one breaks for Meese. Defender on his back, lays it off for Burns. Space for Louis Instraw. Instraw encouraged to shoot, and it looked like a good dipping effort.
that was on target from Instraw for sure. Really essential block there for Claremont.
Burns hooks it in behind. Meese sniffing around. And Instraw able to win the header. I mean, he's been the class of the midfield, I think, across both teams today. Encouraging in his first Trinity start that he's looked so at home. But not surprising, I would say.
Not at all. I mean, you can see the caliber of talent he is. Just, it's so easy at times when a player has quality to watch one first touch and one pass, and you know immediately the caliber of talent they are. And Louis Instraw tonight has been absolutely different class. And, you can see why he was playing at the pedigree of university that he was with Marshall, just as the same way as Meese had that kind of impact for the Tigers team last year. So as a Trinity fan, you've got to feel pretty excited by the new addition to this lineup, and equally how well the returners have started here.
That one hooked off the left foot of Donaldson. Davis showing his considerable vertical leap. Got ahead to it. This is good play for the moment from Otero. Heavy touch, took it away from him. Davis now coming forward from right back. Stabs it ahead for Burns. And Burns saw the pass that Davis didn't. Had he continued his run, you think he'd be bearing down on goal right about now.
That was really unlucky. Kyle Davis, for once, decided to stop his run. I think because he saw that Adji was making the overlapping run. And Burns could have played Adji, but made the decision, and, it was probably the right decision. The underlap from Davis was on if Davis had made that run, but he'd instead decided to retreat and get back in defensive position, which you can totally understand considering where Adji was, but obviously for Trinity at this moment it just didn't quite work out. As Hunter Kane kept that in, that's fantastic hustle from him. He's
absolutely destroyed the flag at the halfway line in doing so. Got it in the direction of Meese. I don't think I've ever seen Hunter Kane give up on a ball, whether it was to his own physical detriment or the detriment of a flag on the side of the field.
Yeah, there's an argument that was a more bravery than sense play. We certainly don't really want Hunter Kane sliding into the hard concrete stands on the other side of this field because he's such a quality player and you want to make sure he's healthy. But you have to respect the hustle and the desire to continue to keep the ball in and see if you can create something. And that really is Hunter Kane down to a T, just 100 miles an hour and, real quality.
Moment on the ball for Rule. Fired ahead to the feet of Burns. Perfect pass into the Scottish feet of Fraser Burns, who gets it wide now. And Kane shoves his defender to the turf. It breaks for Adji at the back post, and that one flashes across goal. Another good chance for the Tigers. It took a nick on the way through. It'll be a corner.
Adji's unlucky there. He's coming onto that and trying to volley it, but it is really hard as a right footer coming onto the ball to open your foot up enough to keep that on target. Obviously, usually you want to close the gate and get as much power on it as possible. So Adji's tried to do the right thing there, and it's just kind of skewed off his heel and then cleared away for this Tiger corner to be taken, I think, by Fraser Burns, correct?
As always, it's going to be the in-swinging service of Burns. 10 assists last year, already one on the opening goal tonight. This one in towards the near post. Needs a little bit more air underneath it, but the danger on that meant Pels had to put it behind for another corner and another chance for Burns to measure it in.
Yeah, that particular corner of this field is by far and away the hardest to take a corner from because you have the tree right there. You're running downhill to strike the ball, and it is actually really hard to get enough whip on it. Let's see if Fraser can do it this time.
This one in towards the near post, and it's Adji that gets ahead to it. Kane just wanted to make sure that there was no counterattack there, managed to shoot without even looking at the goal.
Yeah, you don't mind that from Kane. He's trying to just keep the ball alive, really, as another sub here for the Stags. And Eric Sanchez, who came in the first half, is coming back in here for Blackman. As Claremont are going to have to roll the dice here at some point. It's not that they've been by any means sitting back. When they've had the ball, they've played it really nicely. But after an early kind of 15 minutes where maybe Claremont, already having played a game, gave them a little bit of a faster start, the Tigers have controlled the game for the past, half an hour, 45 minutes or so.
And you have to wonder how long can Ethan Ting stay on the bench for Coach Schwartz.
Yeah, when you have a proven goal scorer like him, and especially someone who's done it in this situation, in this place before, that's pretty rare. For teams traveling on the road in college soccer, it doesn't happen all the time that you have someone who can, visualize that success having done it before. So I would be surprised if Ting didn't get another 20 minutes or so. Obviously, we don't know exactly his fitness state considering, coming back from the injury. But, there's no doubt that we've seen before firsthand how quality Ting can be in front of goal. And if you're a Claremont fan, you've got to be hoping that he can find a way to get parity restored here for the Stags.
Yeah, thinking back to that 2019 game, Trinity had a great season, and they came in here confident against the Stags, and that was one of the better performances I've seen against Trinity here at Paul McGinley Field. Shut out Trinity completely, 2-0 win, and I expected that they would go on and do big things in the tournament. Instead, they turned around and lose 5-2 to Center College in the next round. Obviously, Center is a storied program in their own right, but it's really surprising, especially for a defense that gave up less than half of a goal a game in that season, 2019. But that performance here at Paul McGinley Field sticks in the mind certainly as one of the better that I've seen from a visiting team.
Yeah, I mean, in my kind of almost a decade of playing and watching Trinity soccer at this point, you really can't think of more than a handful of teams who've come here and won, let alone won with a shutout. So, Claremont to have that on their resume. Obviously, it's a slightly different program now with a new head coach, but there are, as you said, Ethan Ting and some people who will know the story of that day, and they've got to take confidence from that. But Trinity getting the early goal here in the second half, have now started to play with a little bit of confidence and a little bit of swagger, and they're keeping the ball really well. And you're not really seeing a high press from Claremont yet, perhaps not wanting to lose their defensive shape and, willing to be a bit more patient in their attempts to get back into this game.
Yeah, you have to remember, still 32 minutes to go. And in the changed landscape this year with 90-minute draws, certainly going to factor in how coaches will approach it, how they want to expend their legs. Trinity playing tomorrow in a quick back-to-back. Claremont with that extra day of rest will play against Southwestern on Monday. All factors that both sets of coaches are weighing up in their mind. But most important, of course, is how can we win this game? Yeah,
you have to play the game in front of you first and foremost. At the end of the day, obviously it's a 2-game weekend and no one's coming in here saying, oh, well, I only want to win one game. You're trying to win both, but you can't win the second one before you've won the first. So for the Tigers, having got this advantage, you've got to feel good and you've got to try and just see this one out, and then you worry about Rowan tomorrow.
And Rowan with an impressive 2-1 victory over Southwestern at their first win on the board this year. Here's Hunter Kane from distance on the left foot. And we started seeing deja vu from last year as Kane pulled up from range.
We've seen that so many times, and I think Coach McGinley's frustration right now is that you can't score over the bar, and that's something that he harps on about at times. Kane has that space. He just has to test the keeper, and if he keeps it low, we still haven't seen Box make a really, really good save. He's been in the right place at times, but he hasn't been tested, and the one shot that was on target and, really testing ended in the goal from Jake Simon. So if you're Kane, you've just got to try and keep that a little bit lower, keep it on target, and test Box again.
Kane has such an interesting shooting technique. You don't really see it often, where pretty much any shot that he hits is going to have some severe dipping motion. And I think, when he doesn't quite get it right, it's always going to go over the bar, as opposed to, if you're striking through the ball, stay on target and force a save out of the keeper.
Yeah, for sure. Kane has that ability to just do something magical as he gets on the ball here down the left-hand side.
Here's Kane now bursting into the penalty area. Gets the low ball across. Well defended that time by Donaldson. An experienced center back in just the right position to avoid a potential second Trinity goal.
But it's positive again. Kane and Eubank down the left are really causing problems now for Trinity against the Stags defense as Instraw continues to pull the strings from the middle. And just a slightly awry ball there from Burns to Davis, but Coach McGinley obviously immediately encouraging head up. Trinity have really played well with the ball in the second half. They've continued to create chances, create openings. You've had a couple of balls go across the box. The one that Meese somehow didn't get any contact on. But, if you're Coach McGinley right now, you have to be ecstatic with the first hour's play here, because this is a good team that you're playing against, and you've come here, you've created chances, you've scored a goal, you're 1-0 up, and here's Adji in behind.
Great ball from Burns to find Adji in stride. Here's Adji entering the penalty area. The low ball across, cut out on its way through. Some more good defending that time from Lambauer.
That's fantastically well done there by Peter Blanc. Eric Sanchez trying to counter in behind. Really nice touch from him, to be fair, but Peter Blanc just absolutely shutting the door, cool as you like, and then winning the free kick and getting the Tigers back on the offensive.
And to your point, the energy in the Trinity team right now, getting the ball down and playing quickly, keeping the pressure on. And here's Instraw. Time on the ball. Too much time from a Stags perspective. And Stags looking to make another change with Malik checking back in. Here's Instraw again. Head up. Try to ball forward, but breaks right back to him.
That's the kind of day he's having, that the first pass he puts astray still comes back to his feet.
Here's Adji with Davis going on the overlap. Adji digs out a left-footed cross. Runs had already been made. And it was easily cut out by the Stags. Have a back post runner right now, and Otero, who was in behind Davis for the moment. No one noticed it. No whistle from the referee, as everyone pretty much came to a halt. Lambauer was left on the ground by what he thought was some unnecessary contact from Instraw. Instraw couldn't believe that he was staying on the ground. And in the end, nothing happened.
A little bit of confusion there. I think everybody's standing still, kind of looking at each other as Otero checks back out, and in again comes Sean Malik, who it looks like he's going to play off the left this time. Came in on the right in the first half, so we'll see how Carl Davis matches up against Sean Malik here for the Claremont Stags.
And we'll restart play with a Stags throw, as the ref waited for the ball to go out before he checked on Lambauer. And now back up on his feet and comfortable. Blanc going to put his foot through this one, and he got that one wrong. Not happy with himself, as you could probably hear. Send into the Trinity crowd.
Yeah, he holds himself to very high standards, does Peter Blanc. But to be fair, in that situation, clearing it out, you're very happy letting Claremont have a throw in 10 yards inside their own half, and we figure out from there defensively.
Malik, to your point, looking to match up against Davis, keeping the width here on the near side, staying about 8 to 10 yards wider than Davis's position, now making his way inside. As the Stags look like they're going to send a long ball forward. A couple of targets to aim at. Sanchez, the principal one. Aim towards Sanchez. Flicks off the head of Blanc. Malik is going to retrieve the ball here on the near side. Malik shifts it to his left foot. Davis able to stand it up, and this ball rolled across dangerously. Trinity looking to play out of pressure. Instrel dealing with Malik, and eventually Davis clearing the line. Burns takes it down on the thigh. Sent down the line for Meese. Maggi going to ground. Not used to seeing him back doing that defensive work.
That's what you need, though. You need 11 men, defending. You need 11 players all singing from the same hymn sheet. And, when the subs came into the game in the first half, the level didn't drop, and that's something that, McGinley and Carty really harp on about, making sure that everyone knows their role. And whether you're on the field for 30 seconds or 30 minutes, you have to be at 100%. And so far tonight, to a man, everyone in maroon has done a really good job of keeping the ball, passing the ball, creating opportunities. And you've got to be happy with 26 minutes left on the clock here as the Tigers lead 1-0.
And we know there's still plenty of offensive potential in this Trinity team. Over 3 goals a game last season and held opponents to under a goal a game. That's a recipe for success, of course. The undefeated regular season speaks for itself as Burns pucks this one out of the sky, and he can isolate himself against the back line. Cuts it to his left for Michael Meese. Michael Meese now onto his favorite right foot. Michael Meese past another, and Michael Meese into the bottom corner. He's off the mark in 2022.
What a goal. Unbelievable from start to finish. Fraser Burns' touch to take this out of the air is absolutely superb. The composure from Meese to dance through and stick the finish away, and the celebrations are absolutely apt. 2-0 Trinity, and what a goal that is.
By his own standards, Meese held a little bit quiet in the first half, and that is the quality that he possesses, to your point. Composure in the box, beautiful dribble through the back line of the Stags, and now the crowd right behind this Trinity team who've doubled their advantage. 2 second-half goals, and what has been a superb display here through 20 minutes.
I can't get over that Fraser Burns touch. He's plucked it out of the sky like nothing else.
In at him, for sure.
Absolutely brilliant from start to finish there. 2 assists for Burns on the night now, and Meese off the mark just like you wanted. He's let that miss go, puts the ball in the net, and what a position this is for Trinity now. 2-0 up, 25 minutes to play.
You get the feeling that from now until just about 20 minutes to go, you got 6 minutes to negotiate. Will Claremont-Mudd-Scripps find their way back into this game, or will Trinity remain comfortable, maybe find the third and get to coast into tomorrow's matchup with Rowan?
I mean, you don't want to jinx anything. You find it hard to think this is going to be a coast because Claremont have the quality on their bench and, in their 11 to cause Trinity problems. But if the Tigers can find a third, then, you would feel really secure with that. There's the old adage of, 2-0 being the most dangerous lead. I think 2-0 is still a better lead than no lead. But at the end of the day, that's a fantastic goal from the Tigers. And, Claremont have got their work cut out now. JC Rule on the ball on the far side. And, and that's the problem, if you are Claremont, is it's not just score a goal against Trinity. It's the caliber of defense that you have to break down and how secure and solid Trinity have looked so far in defensive positions.
Yeah, notice for a moment the Stags sitting a little bit deeper, Instrel with more time on the ball. That's quickly remedied as they've got their feet back underneath them. 25 minutes to go. Still the only shot in the game for the Stags coming in those opening 5 or so minutes, and it was a very difficult stop for Willman. He made the stop, and since then, Trinity's defense keeping the Stags at bay.
Would you have believed if we'd said after that first shot that'd be their only shot on target, an hour into the game, 65 minutes into the game? I wouldn't have. I mean, the way Claremont started, they were really rapid out of the traps and really quick out of the blocks, and, credit to them for that fast start. But the Tigers have adjusted well. They hung in, and, you've got to continue to think about how big that save from Willman is, like you said, because at the end of the day, as the referee decides not to give a foul there, and Meese is now able to take the ball down, Willman's save really, really big in hindsight, considering where Trinity find themselves now.
Yeah, you think if you go 1-0 down there, the entire game is obviously different. Having to fight from behind from the opening minute, Claremont with something to defend would have looked a lot different. Trinity instead finding their goal in the opening minute of the second half through Jake Simon's first career Trinity goal. Michael Meese, though he's only been here for now 2 seasons, he's had a few more than that off the mark here in 2022.
Yeah, you think Meese is definitely going to mount an assault on the all-time top 10 scorers for Trinity because of the rate he's going. He's going to be a name that's talked about for a long time here, and that kind of finish and that kind of composure where you're able to take 2 touches, turn in the box, beat a man, and then slide it past the keeper. And here he is again on the attack.
Still hungry for more. Michael Meese isolates himself against Donaldson. Michael Meese, drop of the shoulder onto the left foot, and that one too close to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, you can see the difference between his left and his right, as you so often can with players. I know myself, certainly, my left foot was atrocious, to say the least. But, ooh, nice ball through, and Sanchez is trying to get in here. But Willman, I mean, again, that's as good as a save from Austin Willman. That is absolutely as good as a save, that he's on the line and trying to figure out. But it looks like Jack Eubank might have a little bit of a problem here on the far side. But to go back again, Meese, great play, gets to his left foot, just not quite as much power as he's able to get on his right. But absolutely quality on the break in the attack, and now we'll see if Jack Eubank is okay to continue.
Yeah, to your point, Willman coming out, and that's, it's said all the time how difficult it is for a goalkeeper whose team has a majority of possession, doesn't have as much to do, to stay locked in, and to come out, time that to perfection. Is Claremont going to go with a line change here? 3-4 changes, including Ethan Ting, Otero, and Chase Keir. Although only one will be able to enter here in the 1-for-1 with Jack Eubank presumably coming off.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Eubank, it might just be something like cramp. I mean, I didn't see anything particularly impactful in the challenge that could have caused him some stress there. But Eubank's been superb tonight. You have to really hope that he's okay, because he's been fantastic. And, to be fair, I don't want to sit here and just over the top praise Trinity, but really, genuinely, there hasn't been a bad performance. The starting lineup and the guys who came off the bench, and you think now Trinity are looking to add some fresh legs in here as number 32, Ty Jarrett, looks like he might be about to check in here, possibly in place of Eubank at left back.
Yeah, it looks like a like for like on the left side of the back four. And to your point, hopefully Eubank will be okay. Obviously a quick turnaround game tomorrow. But this has turned into an impromptu water break, and right on the time it would normally be, 3/4 of the way through the game. And Callum, if you had to, put yourself in the position of the Claremont Stags and Coach Schwartz, what's the avenue back into the game with 23 minutes to play?
I mean, you've probably got to change your system, in all honesty. I mean, I think, the defensive stability that they've had with their four at the back, makes sense. But in reality, at this point, I mean, I think you've kind of got to press forward and, potentially maybe change to 3. It's kind of crazy to say it, but, it doesn't matter if it's 3-0 or 4-0 at the end of the day. A loss is a loss. And if you're Claremont coming here trying to get something, with 23 minutes left, needing 2 goals, you're going to kind of have to push on and go for it. So whether they go to a 3-5-2, a 3-4-3, or, maybe just take more chances and only leaving 2 back in their 4-4-2, I think you've got to push on. And at the same time, I think you've got to tell your team, stick true to your game. I mean, this is not a Claremont team that is built for direct Route 1 football. So if you start doing that, I don't think you're going to find a whole lot of success, especially with how good in the air Blanc and JC Rule are at the back for Trinity. So you've got to stick to your guns, but also adapt to an extent and try and find a way to create some clear-cut chances, because, like we said, since the initial Willman save and then that Willman clearance just a couple minutes ago, it really hasn't been many clear-cut chances for Claremont here.
And Claremont, from year to year, they've lost 6 key contributors from last season. Deonda, the goalkeeper, Semi Rahim, Harper Rubin, and 2019 All-American William Burchard. I remember he was particularly impressive in that 2019 NCAA tournament game here. He was a left back that led the team in assists, similar to what we see from Eubank on the Trinity side. So when you've lost that much experience in your team, obviously you still have a few coming back with Donaldson, Landbauer, who have their head screwed on and have been in these situations before. But when you've lost so many seniors, sometimes you look over your shoulder and you're expecting that guy to be there to pick up the team, and he's not there anymore, and it's got to be you.
Yeah, and that's tough. That's tough for any team. That's what's so interesting about the nature of college soccer and college sports generally, is that, whereas in a Premier League team you can have the same core of players for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Year on year in college sports, you're changing 1/4 of your squad, which is a huge turnover.
as Trinity continue to threaten here down the left.
Here's Burns, drops it off to Meese. It's been a lethal combination now for over a year. That time, though, Meese couldn't do anything with it from 18 yards out. Davis going to be forcing some action here as Ting leaves a couple of Trinity defenders on the ground. A little bit clumsy from the striker there.
That all kind of came about from a little bit of a slip from Peter Blanc, and apologies for going quiet. We're just trying to make sure that everything is okay with Carl Davis on the floor there. I don't think Ting was intending to cause any damage, but Ting's challenge basically went through Davis and into Rule, and it looks like Davis actually came off the worst. He's holding his right ankle, it looks like, and certainly again, as we said, as Trinity fans, you got to hope that Carl Davis is okay, because he's been superb from start to finish here on the right hand side. And Carl Davis is just a player who's brought so much energy to this Trinity team, and he's really developed and evolved since his first year here into what you see now in his final season. He is a player who has so much quality and is able to carry the ball so well. You've really got to hope that this isn't anything serious, and I think the positive sign is that he's sitting up there, and Coach McGinley in discussions with him. Maybe he might need to go to the bench, and it looks like Michael Pham being readied here by Coach Carty down below us, which by no means is a bad change considering the amount of quality and experience that Pham has himself.
And thinking about the right back position for Trinity, of course, it was Jacob Galland for 4 years. I mean, Kyle Davis had his moments when Galland shifted into center back as a right back, but now it's with Galland gone and off, at med school doing better things, perhaps, then it's Davis's job, and he's shown well here in the first game out of the blocks. And Michael Pham, who came in as a right back, transitioned into playing in the middle of midfield. Now he's going to get an opportunity back at the position that perhaps he's most familiar with, as Davis is replaced.
Yeah, and I mean, deserved shout out to Jacob Galland for an incredible career, and what a talent and what a human he is. Fantastic and first class from top to bottom. But Carl Davis stepping into this right back role, he's had a great first, nearly 70 minutes tonight. And Michael Pham, number 10 on his back, slightly unorthodox, a right back. Reminds me of William Gallas for Arsenal back in the day, which I know will make Ryan to my left smile ahead of the big game tomorrow morning at Old Trafford. But, Michael Pham definitely got the quality to step into this situation and continue this Trinity shutout, he hopes.
Yeah, perhaps relative to the level, more talented than Gallas ever was for the Gunners. And here's a burst forward. And an opportunity coming from the left side. This one sent in over the head of Burns, who's come up lame there, cramping as he reached into the sky for the ball. It's broken for Adji now on the near side. Pham's first involvement. It's a swung cross in towards the back post. Hunter Kane gets ahead to it.
That was nice from both sides. I mean, Ty Jarrett flying from left back there as Claremont now try and counter down the right-hand side with Sean Malik, and really well defended actually there from JC Rule to force them back and let the Tigers get back into shape. But sorry, to carry on, Jarrett with a fantastic cross from the left, excuse me. Not entirely sure what happened with Fraser. He just came up lame in the middle, like you said, Ryan. But then, Pham taking a touch, finds it into Hunter Kane at the back post. And his header, was in the direction of Meese, and it was a good play from Kevin Box, again, at the back to keep the ball away from the Tigers attacker.
Trinity perhaps fortunate there with the deflection. Ting chasing Rule backwards. And you definitely notice the Stags leaving one or two further forward, and the counters are going to be that little bit more of a threat, especially with the two starting fullbacks off the field.
And if you're the Tigers, then that just really just has to show you that you just have to be a little bit more patient. You don't have to go 100 miles an hour in your build-up. You don't need to commit 7 men to the attack. You need to be, cautiously attacking, because the worst thing you can do is sit back and invite pressure on. But at the same time, as Adji cuts inside here, you know that a third goal will kill the game, but equally you can't afford to allow Claremont to get one and build some momentum.
And here we see the quality on the ball that Pham possesses. Almost a luxury to be able to stick him at right back, with the likes of Enstro coming in midfield and Burns, who, of course, able to combine as well. This one sent in the direction of Meese. And a run in behind for Malik, not spotted by his teammates. They work it up the left side. Ting, good hold-up play, finds Watkins in midfield. Some space for the Stags. And there's Jarrett with another good intervention as Watkins the latest to cramp up here.
you can understand completely why the cramps are coming. You know, it is hot, it is humid. This is obviously early in the season. People aren't in the finest shape of their lives. It looks like Fraser Burns might be given a break here, as Adam Knutson might be coming back on. But, you know, Claremont rolling the dice. They have to try and throw people forward. They have to try and find one. And as Watkins does check out, you know, I have been impressed by him. He's a talented player. He's looked really sharp on the ball and good when he's had opportunities to create for Claremont. So, you know, you got to feel good about him if you're a Claremont fan watching at home.
Huntington into his defensive midfield spot, and he'll be matched up against Knutson, the Trinity freshman. Only Trinity freshman who's seen the field so far in the opener.
You know, that's not necessarily uncommon. You know, sometimes you have a freshman class that are just automatically ready, and sometimes you have a class that needs a little bit more time. But, you know, Knutson representing that first-year class well so far. You know, when he's had the ball, he's been good with it. He's been calm and decisive, and I think that's one of the biggest things that you can really see with first-years who are ready is that they don't second-guess themselves. They are willing to take a touch, play the pass they need to as Trinity look to defend this long throw.
In towards the near post, no flick on from the Stags, but still Trinity unable to clear it. Ends up as a Tigers goal kick.
And if you're the Tigers here, you're just going to let that clock run. I mean, Austin Willman is not going to take so long so as that the referee gets annoyed at him, as the ref does just have a word there with the English goalkeeper. But you are absolutely happy to see the seconds tick away here as you head in towards the last 18 minutes. Hunter Kane coming over to the right-hand side here as Chen Aji goes to the left.
And just to finish the point on Knutson in the freshman class, this year more than ever, there's no space for players to come into the lineup. We've seen Instrol, and of course, he's come with the highest of pedigree, perhaps of anyone in the Trinity squad, as a national champion at the Division I level and a Chelsea Academy graduate. So, I mean, it's going to be difficult, and Knutson here on the ball is going to have a chance to make a name for himself as that one flashes just over the bar. He saw his name in lights.
What a hit, son. I mean, unbelievable that.
81 goals in his high school career. He was looking for number one at the collegiate level, and he was looking for the spectacular.
You can absolutely see why he scored 81 goals when he strikes the ball like that. And again, what I said 2 minutes ago, decisive. I love the fact, touch out your feet, look up, have a hit. You know, it's a yard, half a yard over the bar, dipping onto the roof of the net. Absolute quality from Knutson. You have to be happy with that as Chen gets a break here and Connor Jones back into the action.
And straight into the action. He wins the header, nods it forward towards Mies. And Mies putting the pressure on, forces Weir to go long. And Stroll in there battling. JC Rule comes through commanding. Gets ahead to the ball. Talked to in the first half about, you know, the players that continue to play through the summer. Not always at the Division III level is it as accessible, but I think we've seen a big difference in Jake Simon's game, and he's one that I know put in the work over the summer, working with Mo Joley, who's, you know, a team that he and his dad put together in the California area with all kinds of terrific collegiate players. We've seen a big difference with Jake Simon, not only scoring his first career goal, but he's gone longer into this game than I think he ever has before in a Trinity uniform as he's picking himself up here in the center circle.
Yeah, you might have cursed him. I think he's got some cramp just as you told us how long he's gone. But Connor Jones will bring this away here with Michael Pham on the overlap.
Jones will cut back. Just a moment of calm, and Pham can go into those midfield spaces he's used to occupying. Just beneath the striker here, despite being the nominal right back. He's in the number 10 area, as his shirt would suggest. And there's Simon again, well positioned.
And that's what's great about, you know, Pham and Jones on this right-hand side right now for the Tigers, is that both could be in each other's position and interchange really well. You know, they're intelligent players. They know their positioning, and they're able to, you know, pick up the right space when one of them moves into the others, as the Tigers continue to be strong at the back down the right-hand side.
Rule with another good intervention, stepping in there. And the ball back at the feet. Blanc, the Dutchman, will send it back to the goalkeeper. The Stags readying a pair of changes here in just a moment as we approach 15 minutes to go in this one. Trinity looking to get their 2022 campaign off to a fantastic start. 75 minutes down, 15 to go.
I think you're going to see more fresh legs coming in the second here, as that's an offside against Sean Malik there for the Stags, but I think you're going to see more fresh legs coming here. It looks like Luke Newport is about to check in for the Tigers. He's warming up right now, and I think, you know, that's just intelligent from McGinney and Carty in terms of this last 15 minutes. You're going to run the clock with the substitutions, but equally, the fresh legs in this hot, muggy atmosphere tonight are only going to help the Tigers hopefully see this through.
3 changes for the Stags. Will have to wait as O'Reilly, who is set to come out, heads back out onto the left wing Claremont-Mudd-Scripps. This one lifted in behind, looking for Malik. Direct run from the number 26, and he's back onto it quickly, but he can't keep it in play.
That's well done from JC Rule as well, putting the pressure on there. You have to say that the Tiger centre-back pairing of Rule and Blanc has been pretty much imperious aside from that early chance that Claremont had. They've been really solid at the back. They've not given ground. They've won everything in the air, and that's got to please Coach McGinley no end.
Especially defense, the one area that Trinity did lose 2 key contributors. Everybody else pretty much coming back, but Galan and Brady Johnston, we already mentioned Galan. Johnson, of course, 6 years in the Trinity team. As he mentioned, a cursed Jake Simon. He's down now getting some treatment.
Yeah, if you're a friend of Jake's, it's Ryan's fault that Jake's now going to have to be substituted, because Ryan said how good shape Jake was in and how he was playing longer than usual. But no, to be fair, that's absolutely true. Jake has been fantastic tonight. Not just a goal, but his all-round performance as well. And not surprised now that there are cramps here as we approach, midnight here local time in about 8 minutes. So this game is going to finish on Sunday.
And in a weird turn of events, Trinity will play 2 different games on the same day, with tomorrow's game set to kick off at 7 o'clock. We'll be asleep in there, but perhaps not as long as they'd normally like, with this game finishing past 12.
No, and tomorrow's game will be really interesting now. Rowan have had a couple extra hours to recover, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it can be massive and it can be decisive in situations like this and in the NCAA tournament when, time and recovery time especially is a huge factor. So, for the Tigers, admittedly, you have the home field advantage, but you have the disadvantage of Rowan having had an extra couple hours to recover. You'd think Rowan are probably rested and in bed, having already had dinner. The Tigers at this point, probably most of these guys are going to need to eat something after they finish. And it's going to be interesting how that plays into tomorrow's game, Ryan. Yeah,
and interesting to talk to Coach McGinley about what each of these teams, Southwestern, Rowan, Claremont-Mudd-Scripps, and Trinity wanted to get out of this weekend when they were in the scheduling process. Rowan and Trinity really wanted to simulate that NCAA tournament cadence of one game and then the next day turning around and playing an even higher intensity game. So they're definitely going to get that, if perhaps even more than they expected.
What's funny is the Rowan Southwestern game will be completely different to the Rowan Trinity game. The way Southwestern play and the way that affects other teams, Trinity are going to have a completely different test tomorrow with Rowan than Southwestern did today.
Ball plucked out of the sky by Ting on the far side. Body streaming back for Trinity. An awkward deflection at the near post. Jones going to have to deal with it. He does off the outside of his right foot. Here's Landbauer. Recovers possession. And Luke Newport, as you mentioned, was warming up earlier. Now he's in the game. Difficult to distinguish him from Adam Knutson. Very similar hairstyle and play style as well. Frenetic midfielders. Good stature and low socks.
Yeah, the low socks is a nice look from Knutson there. I do enjoy that. As Meese plays it to Instraw, who again, cool as a cucumber. And that's in behind for Meese.
Good weight on it from Jones. Needed perhaps just 6 inches further in behind. We were able to stick a foot out and deal with it well.
Well done, Luke Newport.
Going to ground, keeps the energy up. Encouragement from the bench as Knutson wanted it in behind for Meese. Again, so close to breaking the line that time. Instraw hooks it away from the halfway line, and Knutson able to recover possession. Sharp outing for him off the bench today. And we haven't even mentioned Joe Curry's name, a standout performer last year, injured right now. Close to coming back, I think, but Adam Knutson's going to make it difficult for him to get back in the side, which is crazy to say.
Well, you just strength and depth, right? At the end of the day, you are going to get injuries during the season, whether it's at the start, whether it's in the middle, whether it's at the end. You are going to have injuries and you have to deal with them. And, Joe Curry is someone who was fantastic last year for the Tigers, and he will absolutely be a fixture in this team, whether it's from the start or from the bench, but probably from the start at some point here in the season. And, if you're McGinley, you have to be happy that there is that depth around him. You can lose a player like Joe Curry and still put in a performance like you have tonight against Claremont as we go inside the last 12 minutes with the Tigers leading 2-0.
Blunt going long, looking for Jones. A couple of different players showing short, didn't receive it. A little bit of frustration. But it's broken for Knutson now. 20 yards from goal. Checks back, finds Michael Meese, who's popped up in a good space here to run at the back line. He's threatening the shot on the left foot, pokes it through, looking for Newport. And the midfield suddenly looking a little bit vacant. Blanc stepping in to try and make amends for that. Flag stays down as it's left for the overlapping runner. And great defending coming back. That Hunter Kane, unbelievable engine from Kane.
Superb. I mean, you know, he's not done anything with the ball at the end, but in general, with 11 minutes left, you're absolutely fine with your left winger, almost left wing forward, tracking all the way back into their left back position, winning the ball and clearing out the other end of the pitch. You know, Claremont are not going to score from inside their own half here.
Speaking of players that are difficult to distinguish in the Trinity roster, Jarrett and Kane, similar stature on the far side.
And 23
Kane,
and 32.
you know, he defends like a fullback at times as well, with his energy tracking all the way back from the wing. So they often pop up in the same areas as Jarrett likes to bomb on into the winger areas. This one's sent clear by Blanc, looking for Mies. Mies takes it on the chest perfectly into the path of Jones, who will send it high into the sky across for Kane to challenge. Kane wins a pair of headers.
Yeah, Kane has no right to be as good in the air as he is for someone so small. Respectfully, you know, he's, you know, I don't know exactly how tall he is. We're looking on the roster here. You know, Kane's listed at 5'7". You know, I think that might be a little bit generous if we're completely honest. But he's, you know, done really well there. As Pham is under pressure here from Sanchez and does really well to clear that away. Jones will try and continue the clearance and does fantastically well to get that into the Claremont half.
Yeah, so real core strength there to be able to pivot, swing the hips all the way around and keep that one in play. But all that means is the Stags have it, and they're coming right back at the Trinity back line. Pham, some active defending, able to close it down and rip the possession away from Brown for the moment. Now it's back with the Stags here just inside their own half. Trinity sitting into that defensive shape. I haven't seen them on the back foot really at all in the second half. So far, despite sitting a little bit deeper, they've still remained active in closing down the ball, which I think is something that often teams that aren't used to sitting back in the defensive posture sometimes aren't able to do.
100% accurate. As now they're looking to counter again. Mies finds Kane, who's just able to keep it in. And that's Jarrett bombing on, as we said there. You know, great pressure from him, and he continues to go as Kane can now check into the left-back position. Vox clears it straight to the Trinity midfield. Here's Knutson.
And Knutson, drop of the shoulder, pass one. Adam Knutson's going to take the shot on. And Box able to get over the top of that one. Nearly saw it slip underneath him. Knutson's so decisive. To your point, you've mentioned that word a couple of times. Just picks it up, knows exactly what he wants to do with the ball.
I really like the way he carries himself. You know, he's confident on the ball. You know, he's a good size for a first year. And, you know, able to bring the ball forward, get his head up, and then get a clean strike away. There's a little bit of an overlap here potentially for Claremont on the far side that Pham needs to try and have a look at.
We got Brown unmarked as Jones now comes across to deal with it. The play still continuing on the far side. And the Stags work it through the lines. Now pick it up here with Ben Pell as the left back. In the midfield as Blanc steps out of the back line to force the Stags back. 8 minutes to play. This one in behind. Good tackle that time. Concedes the corner, but gets it out of the danger area. Justin Blackman defended that time.
And Michael Somerville, the senior from Fort Worth, is checking in here to give Michael Mies a well-earned rest after what has been another fantastic display from him. He got his goal in the second half, and what a goal it was, Ryan.
Absolutely. I mean, we were waiting for him to show his quality in the first half, and he did it in moments in the hold-up play. But when that ball broke in the box and he's able to skip through two defenders and fire it home, I mean, that was the Michael Mies of last year. That's the Michael Mies that we expect to see going forward as Trinity. It's an awkward moment there defending the corner.
Willman not 100% healthy there, and he's done well to recover and hold that one because he took a real hit on that first ball into the box, and we weren't sure how he was going to deal with it. But, you know, credit to Willman again. Pretty much every time he's been asked to do something tonight, he's done well. And, you know, stepping in for JC Vidales tonight, he's done really, really well at the back there, has Willman.
Somerville going up front, no slouch, had a stellar season last year as well, off the bench or playing in a 4-4-2 situation with Michael Mies. You know, we deemed them the Mike and Mike pairing last year for some of the exploits that they showed. So physical, and another player with such industry and never going to give up on a ball. Ended up with 7 goals and 2 assists last year with only 4 starts. I mean, that's an impressive impact off the bench.
Absolutely it is, and, you know, that's what you need. You need people to have that impact from the bench. And here is Somerville down the right-hand channel.
And he's a lot to handle. Somerville going to look to get to the end line. Jones offering support. Somerville cuts onto his left foot, rolls it across to the top of the box for Hunter Kane. Shapes to shoot, finds Jarrett on the overlap. And the low cross fired in. Jarrett just couldn't get his hips around it. And that was a lot of Trinity bodies committed to an attack. Considering the game state, 2-0 up, 6 minutes to go.
Brown bringing Claremont forward here, and that's a lovely ball down the line.
And behind Michael Pham, and
It's
here's
Blackman.
the chance for Blackman, cutting onto his right foot, and that one flashes just wide. That's just how he scored in the opening game against Santa Cruz. Cutting onto his favored right foot from the left, but that time couldn't wrap his foot around it like he would have liked.
Philip Duenas coming in for the Tigers. It looks like for Hunter Kane, as Knutson thought it was him coming off, and he ran over to the sideline and was promptly sent back by Coach McGinley.
Yeah, they're very happy, I think, with what Adam Knutson has been able to do in his time on the pitch so far. He got subbed at the end of the first half. I think he expected a similar rotation here, but it's been very, very good here in the second 45. And they'll shift Duenas out to the left wing. Seen him operate from the wide areas in the past, although I think he prefers to be the central striker. There's ton of competition, obviously, for that spot in this Trinity team.
There's competition all over the pitch, and that's what you want. You want, people fighting for a spot, fighting for minutes. You want people to be, in that competitive spirit. And as we have, triple fives left on the clock here, 5 minutes 55 seconds. The Tigers are closing in on what would be, a big win here on opening night.
Not only that, the way that it's gone, 2 shots against so far. One of them coming way back in the opening 5 minutes. It's going to take an effort to get this one over the line, but on the first 85 minutes of evidence, are well equipped to do so. Here's Duenas on the far side, slip ball into the path of Michael Somerville. Stings the palms of Box, the goalkeeper, who gets it going quickly. And
no. I think the referee's got that one a bit wrong.
And Pham into the book. Referee sees it as him stopping the counterattack. Could be a little bit difficult to navigate these last 5 minutes as a right back on a yellow card, but here's a great ball in behind for Sanchez. Rule running side by side alongside him and able to send this one out of play. As we approach 5 minutes to go, and Claremont-Mudd-Scripps readies the long throw.
Yeah, and I mean, that's, you got to have different ways you can score goals, and if you're Claremont right now, a long throw is as good a chance as anything. So as it gets set to come into the box, I think that's Chase Keir with the ball in his hands. This is a threat for Trinity, and we said earlier, not the biggest of teams, and, Claremont do have the height advantage in there, but that's not a great throw.
Jones gets a flick to it at the near post, a drive into the crowd from O'Reilly, and a follow-up effort from Keir himself. And they're going to do it again. Keir across, see if he can get a little bit more distance on the throw this time. Nobody challenging for a near post flick, at least as far as Jones was able to repel. And he's going to be able to do so again. This time gets a little bit more purchase on the header, and the referee's whistle blows for a foul. Under 5 to go, clock rolling. Coach McGinley encouraging the Tigers up the field. Take a breather, take as much time as they can here. Somerville wins it from the direct service. Knutson leaves it for Jones. Scampers to the corner. Low cross swung in, not dealt with well at the near post. Knutson picks up the loose ball. And I think you saw the idea. Duenas shaped like he was going to make that darting run in behind and thought better of it.
Yeah, I've praised Knutson all night, but I think just that's the first time he's made a decision. I think you wanted back. Like, maybe just hold on to that. You've got the ball on the edge of their box. You don't have to force the really nice idea, but slight Hollywood ball there. And, unlucky Duenas didn't quite read it, but here's Knutson again, and he now makes a very sensible decision to find Duenas, who can potentially feed Knutson again on the overlap.
Good movement in the attacking areas as Trinity fan out, proving difficult to deal with for Claremont even late into this game. Duenas drops it off. Michael Somerville up the left wing. Duenas makes the run into the 6. Somerville looking to get onto his right foot, just crowded out by 3 or 4 Stags players there. Jarrett continues some impressive work off the bench. He steps up, looking to defend there. That's a nice flick around the corner, and there's space in behind for O'Reilly, but Pham able to read it and cut out the pass. That may have been the chance to find a lifeline for Claremont.
Yeah, it was really well done there, Michael Pham. I mean, we sung his praises coming into the game. didn't take any time whatsoever to get up to speed, and he's now making defensive interceptions as the Tigers look to run out this clock. And Newport again finds Pham, who from right back has ended up in the number 10 position as Jones tucks in, and that's the point of the interchange that they're able to do here with this particular lineup for the Tigers, is they have experience playing in different positions here.
And you can't keep Michael Pham away from the number 10 that's on his shirt, can you?
And you wouldn't want to. He's a great player. He's great on the ball, and as Trinity try and run this clock down here, it looks like with it, a little over 2 minutes to go as the rain continues to fall here in San Antonio. The Tigers are just about putting the ice on this one.
Yeah, and I think, obviously the viewers at home don't have a view of the two different benches, but I think that tells the whole story. Trinity up on their feet, helping their team, giving the energy from the bench. Claremont a little bit down and despondent, facing an 0-1-1 start to the year. That's not what they expected coming in, having not lost a regular season game last year at all.
And it's not been an easy. Oh, here's Somerville. Oh, ref. And you can hear, potentially, the reaction of the Trinity bench there to that decision, which was, shall we say, not favorable. But a minute 28 and still ticking here to go as Somerville unfortunate there to be called for the foul. He's had a really nice little cameo off the bench here, replacing Mish. Tigers needed fresh legs, and Somerville's done well in holding the ball up just like that as Jones looks to find Duenas in behind and just couldn't connect.
Yeah, Duenas been unlucky. He's been so close to getting in behind a few times. I think we're going to have to start playing elevator music every time Instro gets on the ball. He's just so calm and composed. Nothing's going to faze him in those midfield areas, and I think he's about to go 90 minutes in his Trinity debut.
He's been superb tonight, and, you don't want to harp on about any individual because this has been a fantastic Trinity team performance. But I haven't seen many debut performances here under the lights at Paul McGinley Field with quite as much assuredness as Louis Instro. I think back to the likes of Lawrence Wyke, the quality that he had in the teams that we played in, and Instro has that level of experience and that level of quality as Somerville now inside the last 30 seconds looks to maybe put a final salvo on this scoreline.
And he's got support, and Duenas coming alongside him. Duenas into the penalty area looking for the exclamation point, but the shot deflected. That took the sting out of the effort, and with 20 seconds to go, Trinity looking assured to take their first victory of the season at the first time of asking. Goals in the second half from Jake Simon and Michael Meese, the most unlikely of goal scorers and the most likely. And that'll do it. Success here as Saturday becomes Sunday. The clock strikes midnight, and Trinity are 1-0 with a game to play still, I guess you could say, later today, Callum.
Yeah, great performance. Absolutely great performance. Unbelievable from the Tigers there. Fantastic in the second half, and, absolutely thoroughly deserved. Started with a great goal from Jake Simon. And the Tigers, have to be happy. It's a brilliant performance. It's a great start to the season, against quality opposition from Claremont. You've said how long their unbeaten regular season run was. And for all of us in San Antonio, you've got to be happy with it because it's a fantastic start to the 2022 regular season. And, just an honor to be here and be able to live it with you, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the 21-game regular season unbeaten streak against Division III opposition for Claremont-Mudd-Scripps. That comes to an end here at Paul McGinley Field. We'll get you quickly through the totals. 2 shots, 1 on goal for Claremont-Mudd-Scripps. The 1 shot saved by Austin Willman in the opening moments, a crucial intervention that game. The game could have pivoted completely in that moment. 9 saves for Kevin Box, who was very busy, especially in the second half. 8 fouls apiece, 2 corners for the Stags. And on the Trinity side, 20 shots in total, 11 on target. And we already mentioned Jake Simon and Michael Meese finding the back of the net. Eubank with 1 assist, and Fraser Burns off to a great start here in 2022 with a pair of assists to his name. And, well, it's past midnight, which means it's Sunday, which means we've got a game later on, 7 o'clock p.m. local time. Rowan against Trinity, both teams winning today, and that looks like a little bit of an invitational final tomorrow, Callum. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, Rowan, a quality program. It's a name in the D3 soccer sphere, and so it's an exciting game. It's not often we get these kind of cross-country matchups early in the season before the NCAA tournament, so I don't know where else you'd want to be on a Sunday evening, but I hope you join us here on the Tiger Network.
And for Claremont-Mudd-Scripps, they're in action again on Labor Day Monday, 11 a.m., kickoff, and I wouldn't want to be the Southwestern Pirates. Claremont looking a bit like a wounded animal ready to strike now.
Yeah, that's going to be in itself a good game. Southwestern able to kind of play against anyone, and Claremont, you see the quality they have on that pitch tonight. I want to make sure you understand that this is a really good Claremont team that has a really bright season ahead of them. And just tonight, they didn't quite create enough on the offensive. And came out on the losing side. But I have no doubt whatsoever that we'll see Claremont there or thereabouts when it comes to the NCAA tournament at the end of the season.
And in this matchup between the preseason favorites in the SCIAC and the SCAC, it's Trinity representing the SCAC who come out on top. 2-0 is your final. Ryan Figert and Callum Squires on the call. It was a pleasure to take you through it. And we'll be back tomorrow, 7 o'clock kickoff, Trinity and Rowan, as the Tigers look to move to 2-0 on the season. We'll see you then.